Have you ever looked around your home, surrounded by possessions you've accumulated over years, and still felt something was missing? That gnawing feeling that despite all your things, you're somehow not quite fulfilled? If that resonates with you, you're not alone. I grew up with the same message many of us received. Success means having more. More clothes in your closet, more gadgets on your shelves, more cars in your garage. The equation seemed simple. More possessions equals more. Happiness equals true wealth. But what if everything we were taught about wealth was fundamentally flawed? When I first encountered the concept of minimalism, I was skeptical. How could owning less possibly make me feel richer? It seemed counterintuitive, almost rebellious against everything society had programmed me to believe. Yet as I began to experiment with letting go, something unexpected happened. With each item I removed from my life, I gained something far more valuable than what I was. Losing. The transformation wasn't immediate. It rarely is with profound life changes. Has this ever happened to you? You make a small shift, hardly noticeable at first, but then slowly it begins to reshape your entire perspective. What I discovered was that material possessions create an invisible burden. Each item we own demands something from us: space, maintenance, mental energy, and often continued financial investment. We become caretakers of our things rather than the other way around. The possessions we believed would bring us freedom often become the very chains that bind us. The fascinating paradox of minimalism isn't just about owning less stuff. It's about creating space for what truly matters. As I simplified my physical environment, I found myself with more time, more money, more mental clarity, and surprisingly, more contentment. The less I owned, the less I worried about protecting, maintaining, or replacing things. My relationship with money transformed from scarcity to abundance. Stay with me until the end of this journey, because what you're about to discover might surprise you. The true wealth I found through minimalism wasn't measured in bank accounts or possessions. It manifested in unexpected ways, through deeper relationships, meaningful experiences, and a profound sense of freedom that no luxury purchase had ever provided. Think about the most genuinely happy moments in your life. Were they centered around things you bought or experiences you had? Were they defined by what you owned or who you were with? The uncomfortable truth that minimalism reveals is that we've been sold a narrative about happiness that primarily serves consumer culture, not our well-being. And once you begin to see through this illusion, subscribe for weekly minimalism insights that go beyond decluttering and into purposeful living. A rich life is truly about the freedom to choose and the experiences we collect, not the stuff we accumulate. I discovered this truth during a transformative period when I was drowning in possessions yet feeling strangely empty. The revelation came when I realized my most cherished memories weren't tied to things I owned, but moments I'd experienced. Think about your own life for a second. When you reflect on your happiest moments, are they centered around purchases or experiences? For most of us, it's the latter. That weekend trip with friends where everything went wrong, but you laughed until your sides hurt. That sunrise you caught after hiking all night. These are the moments that form the tapestry of a genuinely rich life. Minimalist habits create the mental and physical space for these experiences to flourish. When I began clearing out my unnecessary possessions, I wasn't just making room in my apartment. I was making room in my life for more meaningful pursuits. The journey toward minimalism isn't about deprivation. It's about intention and mindful abundance. One of the most impactful shifts was learning to question every purchase, not from a place of scarcity, but from a place of purpose. Does this add value? Does this align with the life I want to create? This simple mindset adjustment transformed my relationship with consumption. The financial freedom that comes with minimalism is also profoundly liberating. When you're no longer chasing the next upgrade or trying to keep up with constantly shifting trends, you find yourself with resources to invest in experiences that genuinely enrich your life. I've personally redirected funds that once went to impulse purchases toward travel adventures, learning opportunities, and creating memories with loved ones. Behind the scenes of a minimalist lifestyle is a quieter mind. There's a hidden truth about clutter. It's not just physical, it creates mental noise too. Removing excess possessions creates a sense of calm that's hard to describe until you experience it. This mental clarity has allowed me to focus on developing relationships and pursuing passions with an intensity that wasn't possible when my attention was fragmented by stuff. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how minimalism facilitates stronger connections with others. When we're less distracted by material concerns, we can be fully present with the people in our lives. We listen better, engage more authentically, and create space for genuine human connection. If any of these principles have resonated with you, write freedom over stuff in the comments. I'd love to know how you're approaching the balance between possessions and experiences in your own life. Redefining wealth isn't just about changing how we view our bank accounts. It's about transforming our entire relationship with what truly enriches our lives. When I stopped equating my worth with my possessions, something remarkable happened. The constant pressure to upgrade my life eased, and I discovered space to breathe, to connect, to actually live. This mindset shift represents one of the most profound revelations I've experienced on my financial journey. Think about it. We're constantly bombarded with messages that more is better, that the newest version will finally make us happy. But when we step back and honestly evaluate our happiest moments, they rarely center around things we've purchased. Instead, they revolve around connections, achievements, moments of peace, and experiences that touched our hearts. The cost-to-joy ratio I mentioned is a practical tool that emerged from this philosophical shift. Before making a purchase now, I pause and consider, how much sustained happiness will this bring relative to its cost? This simple assessment has transformed my spending habits. A $50 dinner with a close friend often delivers far more lasting satisfaction than a $200 gadget that initially excites but quickly fades into the background of everyday life. What's fascinating is how this approach reveals hidden truths about our consumption patterns. I've discovered that investments in learning new skills, spending quality time with loved ones, or even quiet moments of solitude in nature deliver extraordinary returns on investment when measured in genuine fulfillment rather than dollars and cents. This doesn't mean abandoning all material pleasures. That would be unrealistic and unnecessary. Rather, it's about becoming more intentional, more aware of the true impact each purchase has on our well-being. Some material Goods genuinely enhance our daily experience, while others merely clutter both our physical spaces and mental bandwidth. The journey toward this more balanced perspective often begins with small steps. Perhaps it's delaying a purchase for a week to see if the desire persists. Maybe it's allocating a specific portion of your income to experiences rather than possessions. For me, it started with a simple decluttering process that revealed how little I used most of what I owned. Now I want to go even deeper into how this transformation in thinking affects not just our spending habits, but our entire approach to building financial security. Because when we redefine wealth in these terms, we naturally begin making decisions that align with genuine prosperity rather than the appearance of it. This shift doesn't just improve our financial health, it fundamentally changes our relationship with money at a core level. If this perspective on wealth and spending resonates with your own, experiences or aspirations, write value over volume in the comments. I'd love to know how many of you are already walking this path of intentional abundance. And you know what? When we start intentionally directing our money toward experiences rather than objects, something remarkable happens. Our entire relationship with money transforms. I've found that investing in a weekend trip with loved ones, a cooking class, or even just a day hike to somewhere beautiful creates memories that appreciate in value over time, unlike most material possessions that depreciate the moment we acquire them. This mindset shift doesn't mean never buying physical items again. It's about questioning each purchase. Will this bring lasting value to my life? Sometimes the answer is yes, like getting that quality kitchen knife that makes cooking more enjoyable every day, or books that expand your worldview. The key is being intentional rather than reactive with your spending. If these ideas resonated with you, show some love with a like and help spread the minimalism mindset. Now, speaking of being intentional with resources, I've discovered something that's been a complete game changer in my journey toward financial freedom: outsourcing strategically. This is where platforms like Fiverr come into the picture. For those unfamiliar, Fiverr is an online marketplace where freelancers offer services starting at just $5, though most services cost more now. The revelation here isn't just about saving money. It's about recognizing the true value of your time. Think about it. If you spend 3 hours struggling with a website issue that a professional could fix in 20 minutes for $25, you're not actually saving money. You're losing time. You could have spent either earning more or enjoying life. I've personally used Fiverr for everything from graphic design work to video editing, copywriting, and even virtual assistants. The platform has freelancers across hundreds of categories. And the review system makes it relatively easy to find reliable professionals. What I particularly appreciate is that you can see examples of their work before hiring, so you know exactly what you're getting. The hidden wisdom here is understanding that true wealth isn't just about accumulating money. It's about creating a life where your time is spent on what truly matters to you. Sometimes that means paying someone else to handle tasks that drain your energy or fall outside your skill set. This approach isn't just for businesses or wealthy individuals. Even if you're just starting your financial journey, identifying 1 or 2 areas where outsourcing could free up significant time might be one of the smartest investments you make. If any of this resonates with your own experience, Write "freedom through focus" in the comments. Now I want to go even deeper into practical strategies that have completely changed how I manage money in everyday life. Hiring freelancers on Fiverr. Completely transformed my approach to home renovation. When I first looked at quotes from traditional contractors for my kitchen and bathroom updates, the numbers were staggering, well over $75,000. I almost abandoned the project entirely. But then I discovered something that changed everything. I started breaking down each renovation task and searching for specialists on Fiverr. I found an architect who created custom 3D designs for just $250 compared to the $3,000 quote I'd received locally. For plumbing consultations, I paid $75 for virtual guidance that saved me from making costly mistakes. Even for specialized tasks like cabinet installation specifications and electrical plans, I found experts charging a fraction of local rates. The hidden truth behind this approach isn't just about saving money. It's about fundamentally shifting how we think about expertise. By unbundling services traditionally packaged together, I accessed specialized knowledge without the overhead. The impact on my budget was immediate and substantial. What's fascinating is how this mirrors a deeper principle about wealth creation that few people talk about. The path to financial freedom often isn't found in dramatic gestures, but in questioning standard approaches and finding creative alternatives. These small decisions compound over time, creating life-changing results. Now, let's talk about another unconventional wealth-building strategy that surprised me: turning household clutter into serious cash. When most people think about decluttering, they focus on the psychological benefits. But there's a significant financial dimension that's often overlooked. I started with items gathering dust in my garage and basement: old electronics, furniture pieces I no longer needed, and specialty tools from abandoned hobbies. Instead of casually listing everything on general marketplaces, I researched niche communities where these items held higher value. Photography equipment went to dedicated photography forums. Vintage furniture pieces found buyers through specialty restoration groups. The revelation came when I realized that many items I considered nearly worthless actually held significant value to the right buyer. A collection of old video games I almost donated sold for over $200 to a collector. Exercise equipment purchased for $800 and barely used sold for $600 after just 2 years, essentially meaning I had rented it for $8 a month. What makes this approach powerful is the mindset shift from seeing possessions as sunk costs to viewing them as assets with recoverable value. Each item in your home represents locked capital that could be redeployed toward more productive investments. This isn't just about decluttering. It's about reclaiming financial resources hidden in plain sight and redirecting them toward wealth-building opportunities. Now, I want to go even deeper into transforming everyday expenses into wealth vehicles, because the strategies we've discussed are just the beginning of a much larger wealth reclamation process that we often overlook in our day-to-day lives. If any of these ideas are making you rethink how you approach your household spending, drop "hidden money" in the comments. I'd love to know I'm not the only one finding value in these unconventional approaches. When I let go of my sentimental clutter, something unexpected happened. The process wasn't just about clearing physical space. It triggered a profound internal Transformation. Those objects I'd been hanging on to. Concert tickets from 5 years ago, gifts from ex-partners that I never used, souvenirs from places I barely remembered visiting. They weren't just things. They were emotional anchors, tethering me to versions of myself I had outgrown. The journey of selling these items became surprisingly therapeutic. Each listing I created, each item I photographed, became an opportunity to honor what that object had meant to me before releasing it into the world. And there's something deeply satisfying about knowing someone else might find joy in what no longer serves me. But here's the revelation that changed everything. Minimalism isn't about deprivation. It's about intention. When I stopped mindlessly accumulating things, I developed a heightened awareness around what I actually wanted to bring into my life. This shift in mindset completely transformed my relationship with consumption. Now when I make purchases, there's a clarity that wasn't there before. I ask myself deeper questions. Will this item add genuine value to my daily experience? Am I buying this to fill an emotional void, or because it truly serves a purpose? This intentionality has dramatically reduced my experiences of buyer's remorse. The hidden truth about minimalism isn't that you'll have less. It's that you'll appreciate what you have infinitely more. I've discovered that the fewer possessions I own, the more significance each one carries. My home now feels like a carefully curated collection of things that either serve a practical purpose or bring authentic joy, sometimes both. What's fascinating is how this material simplicity ripples into other areas of life. I've noticed myself applying the same discernment to how I spend my time, which relationships I nurture, and even which thoughts I choose to entertain. There's a lightness that comes with learning to let go, a freedom that extends far beyond just having a tidier living space. The impact extends to financial mindfulness, too. Before embracing minimalism, I'd often use shopping as a form of entertainment or emotional regulation. Now, I find myself naturally spending less because I'm no longer trying to fill internal voids with external acquisitions. My bank account reflects this shift, not because saving money was the goal, but because it's the natural byproduct of more intentional consumption. Now, I want to go even deeper into how this minimalist approach transforms not just your space, and spending habits, but your entire decision-making process when it comes to what you allow into your life. If any of these realizations have resonated with your own experience, write "Freedom Through Less" in the comments below. Being mindful of ownership prevents clutter from becoming a burden. It's about honoring the energy and resources that went into creating each item in our lives. When we recognize this value exchange, we naturally become more intentional about what we allow into our spaces. Taking radical responsibility for one's life leads to self-determination. This isn't just about decluttering physical items, it represents a fundamental shift in consciousness. The transformation begins when we stop seeing ourselves as passive recipients of circumstances and start recognizing our role as active creators of our experience. Think about the hidden truth behind many of our possessions. Often, they represent incomplete journeys, aspirations unfulfilled, or identities we thought we needed to maintain. That unused exercise equipment isn't just taking up space. It's a physical manifestation of a story you've been telling yourself. By confronting these objects honestly, you're actually confronting the narratives that have shaped your life. The decluttering journey reveals something profound about human psychology. We tend to externalize our internal states, creating physical environments that mirror our mental landscapes. When you commit to clearing your space, you're simultaneously creating clarity within. This is why the process can feel so emotionally charged. You're not just moving objects, you're shifting energy patterns that have potentially existed for years. Now, I want to go even deeper into this concept of mindful ownership. There's a fundamental difference between owning things and being owned by them. Every possession carries an invisible weight: maintenance requirements, storage needs, mental space, and even guilt when unused. This weight compounds over time, creating what I call a possession burden that silently drains our vitality. The most revolutionary aspect of mindful decluttering isn't about creating Instagram-worthy minimalist spaces. It's about reclaiming your sovereign power over your life circumstances. Each conscious decision to keep, release, or acquire something becomes an act of self-determination. You're essentially saying, "I choose this experience," rather than defaulting to what marketing, social pressure, or habit has conditioned you to accept. This perspective shifts decluttering from being merely a practical activity to a profound act of self-authorship. You're literally rewriting your environmental story, which inevitably impacts how you perceive your capabilities and potential. The revelation many experience during this process is that their relationship with their possessions has been unconsciously scripted by external influences rather than conscious choice. If something I've shared resonates with your experience, write "conscious ownership" in the comments. I'm curious how many of you have felt that weight lift when you've made intentional decisions about your possessions. Taking responsibility is truly the linchpin of personal transformation. When we step up and own our circumstances, even the painful ones, something remarkable happens. The victim mentality that once paralyzed us begins to dissolve, replaced by a sense of quiet power that emerges from within. Think about a time when you blamed external factors for your situation. Maybe it was a difficult childhood, an unsupportive partner, or economic circumstances beyond your control. While these external realities absolutely impact our lives, the moment we shift from "this happened to me" to "this is what I'm choosing to do about it," we reclaim our personal agency. This mindset shift is particularly powerful when healing from trauma. The journey isn't linear or easy. It's messy and often involves confronting painful truths about our past. But each time we choose to face another aspect of our story with compassion rather than avoidance, we're actively participating in our healing rather than remaining passive recipients of our history. The same principle applies to financial wellness. Living debt-free represents a profound decision to prioritize long-term freedom over short-term gratification. There's something deeply countercultural about choosing to drive an older car or wear second-hand clothes while your peers flaunt the latest trends, all because you understand the hidden cost of financing a lifestyle you can't truly afford. I'm reminded of a conversation I had with someone who lived this principle for years. Despite earning a comfortable income, she chose to maintain a modest lifestyle, investing her surplus rather than spending it. Her colleagues sometimes made jokes about her frugal ways, but 10 years later, the revelation of her financial independence silenced the critics. While others remained tethered to high-stress jobs to maintain their lifestyles, she gained the freedom to work on her terms. What's particularly interesting is how these decisions compound over time. Each small choice to take responsibility, whether for our emotional well-being or financial health, creates momentum. The person who begins by taking ownership of their morning routine soon finds themselves taking ownership of larger aspects of their life journey. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how taking responsibility impacts our relationships with others. When we stop blaming and start owning our part in any dynamic, we create space for authentic connection rather than resentful dependency. If any of these insights have resonated with your own experience, type "taking ownership" in the comments below. I'd love to know which aspects of responsibility have been most transformative in your life. Fiverr's approach to personalized consultations represents a fundamental shift in how we connect with freelancers online. When you engage with their platform, you're not just browsing a catalog of services. You're entering a space where your specific vision can be understood and refined. These consultations create a bridge between your initial concept and its execution, significantly reducing the miscommunications that often plague remote work relationships. What's particularly fascinating is how this consultation model transforms the digital marketplace experience. Think about your last online purchase that went wrong. Chances are, a 10-minute conversation could have prevented the disappointment. This is the hidden truth behind successful collaboration. Meaningful dialogue before commitment often determines the ultimate outcome of a project. The parallels between this approach and the mindset of minimalism are striking in their underlying philosophy. Minimalism isn't merely about owning fewer things. It's about fostering intentional relationships with what we choose to keep in our lives. When you embrace the practice of using items until they're genuinely worn out, you're making a profound statement about value and sustainability. This journey toward conscious consumption represents a remarkable transformation in how we interact with our possessions. Instead of the constant cycle of replacement, minimalism invites us to experience the revelation that comes from truly knowing our belongings, understanding their capabilities, limitations, and the stories they accumulate through extended use. Behind the scenes of both these approaches, Fiverr's consultations and minimalistic consumption, lies the same fundamental principle. Quality connections yield superior results. Whether it's taking the time to thoroughly discuss your project requirements with a freelancer or investing in fewer, better-made items that will serve you for years, the impact on your overall satisfaction is undeniable. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how these seemingly different worlds, digital services and physical possessions, intersect to create a more intentional approach to both work and life. The decisions we make in one domain often reflect our values in the other, creating a consistent pattern of priorities that shapes our entire experience. One particularly interesting aspect is how both these philosophies challenge our cultural obsession with immediacy and constant renewal. They ask us to pause, consider what truly matters, and invest our resources, time, money, attention, accordingly. This countercultural stance creates space for more authentic choices in an increasingly frantic marketplace. If you're resonating with these ideas about intentional consumption and thoughtful collaboration, Write quality over quantity in the comments section. Let's continue exploring how these principles can be applied across different aspects of our professional and personal lives. When I began the arduous process of decluttering 3 decades of accumulated possessions, I never expected the profound shift in perspective that would follow. Each item I picked up carried memories, yet most had long ceased serving any practical purpose in my life. It wasn't just about creating physical space in my home, it was about creating mental clarity that I didn't even know I needed. The transformation happened gradually. As boxes of forgotten purchases made their way to donation centers, I found myself questioning the very nature of consumption in my life. Those shoes I bought but wore twice. The kitchen gadgets still in their original packaging. The books I intended to read someday. Each represented not just money spent, but a decision that hadn't aligned with my actual priorities. What struck me most powerfully during this journey was realizing how little these material possessions contributed to my happiness compared to the experiences I'd had. That camping trip, where we got caught in an unexpected thunderstorm. The impromptu road trip with no destination in mind. Even simple moments like a Sunday morning coffee with a friend. These were the true treasures of my life, the ones that required no storage space but filled my heart immeasurably. Adopting a minimalist mindset doesn't mean living with bare walls and empty rooms. Rather, it's about intentionality. It's asking the hidden question behind every purchase: will this truly enhance my life, or am I chasing a momentary dopamine hit? This revelation changed not just how I spend money, but how I view it, as a resource for creating meaningful experiences rather than acquiring more stuff. The impact reaches beyond personal finance. When I stopped mindlessly consuming, I discovered additional bandwidth for creativity, relationships, and pursuits I'd always claimed I didn't have time for. The mental fog of managing excess cleared, revealing possibilities that had been there all along. There's a peculiar liberation in walking through a store and genuinely not wanting anything, not because you're depriving yourself, but because you've recalibrated what enough means. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It's a steady progression of small decisions that eventually snowball into a completely different relationship with material possessions. Now, I want to go even deeper into the practical aspects of this mindset shift, because understanding the psychology behind overconsumption has been crucial in maintaining this new perspective. The path to mindful spending isn't about willpower. It's about aligning your purchases with your authentic values. If you've ever experienced that moment of clarity when cleaning out a closet or garage, type light bulb moment in the comments. I'd love to know I'm not alone in this realization. But this journey toward purposeful minimalism revealed something deeper. It wasn't just about having fewer objects. It was about creating space for transformation in every aspect of life. What surprised me most was how this mindset shift spilled into unexpected areas. When you approach your home with intentionality, you naturally begin questioning other systems that have been running on autopilot. I found myself reconsidering career choices that once seemed set in stone. The revelation came when I realized I was working extra hours not for fulfillment, but to fund purchases that weren't enhancing my life in any meaningful way. This hidden truth is rarely discussed. Most of us are trapped in a cycle of working to buy things that require us to work more. Breaking free from this pattern creates a ripple effect of possibilities. With less financial pressure, I could negotiate a 4-day work week, creating space for projects that actually energized me rather than depleted me. The impact on family relationships has been immeasurable. Beyond just greeting the kids with a smile, I've discovered the luxury of unhurried conversations. Last week, my daughter wanted to show me her science project. In my previous life, I might have given it a cursory glance while thinking about the emails waiting for me. Instead, we spent an hour exploring her questions about rainforests, which evolved into planning a family conservation project. What's fascinating is how this journey redefines what wealth actually means. True abundance isn't measured by square footage or brand names, but by the quality of your attention and how freely you can direct it. I've watched friends with impressive incomes who can't take spontaneous trips because they're anchored by maintenance demands of oversized homes and complex possessions. The behind-the-scenes reality of minimalism isn't about deprivation. It's about protection. You're actively guarding your most valuable resources: your time, mental bandwidth, and capacity for joy. When you clear the physical clutter, you naturally begin clearing emotional and digital clutter too. I've noticed how my decision-making has become sharper. With fewer options competing for attention, choices become clearer. The wardrobe with only items I genuinely enjoy wearing eliminates the daily drain of decision fatigue. This mental clarity extends to bigger life decisions too, as values become your compass rather than cultural expectations. Now, I want to go even deeper into how this minimalist mindset can reshape your relationship with technology and information consumption, creating mental space that's becoming increasingly rare in today's world. If this conversation about intentional living is resonating with you, write "freedom found" in the comments below. Ultimately, the relationship between minimalism and tiny house living isn't just about having less. It's about creating space for what truly matters. When we strip away the excess, we often discover a profound shift in our relationship with possessions. It's almost like a veil being lifted, revealing how many of our purchasing decisions were driven by social pressure rather than genuine need or joy. This journey toward intentional ownership transforms how we view everything around us. Suddenly, that new gadget or trendy piece of furniture isn't just a price tag. It's an exchange of your limited life energy. You begin asking deeper questions. Does this item deserve the hours of my life I traded to acquire it? This perspective shift represents one of the hidden gifts of embracing minimalism. The beauty of tiny house living lies in its ability to be both a practical challenge and a philosophical revolution. By dramatically reducing your physical footprint, you're forced to confront consumption habits that might have gone unchecked for decades. Each item must earn its place, not just once, but continuously. This ongoing curation creates a dynamic relationship with your belongings that most conventional homeowners never experience. I've noticed that people who successfully transition to smaller living spaces often describe a surprising revelation: the mental clarity that emerges when your environment contains only things that serve a purpose or bring genuine joy. It's as if the physical decluttering triggers an intellectual and emotional decluttering as well. Decisions become clearer, priorities sharpen, and many report feeling more present in their daily lives. Now, I want to go even deeper into this relationship between physical space and mental freedom. The tiny house movement isn't just challenging our ideas about square footage, it's questioning fundamental assumptions about success and progress that have dominated Western thinking for generations. When we step outside the bigger is better paradigm, we begin to see how deeply these narratives have shaped our lives and limited our imagination about what constitutes a good life. The financial implications extend far beyond just saving on mortgage payments. Many tiny house dwellers find themselves with the bandwidth, both mental and financial, to pursue creative projects, travel experiences, or educational opportunities that would have remained out of reach in their previous lifestyles. This redistribution of resources often leads to a profound reimagination of what wealth actually means. If any of these ideas resonates with your own experience or aspirations, drop "freedom through less" in the comments. I'm curious about how many of you are contemplating or already embracing this countercultural approach to housing and consumption. It's fascinating how we get caught in the cycle of acquisition, isn't it? We're convinced that the next purchase will finally bring that elusive happiness we've been chasing. But when we look deeper at what actually creates lasting joy in our lives, we discover a profound truth that's been hiding in plain sight all along. When I started interviewing people in their 80s and 90s about their life regrets, not once did I hear someone say, "I wish I had bought that luxury car," or "if only I had owned a bigger house." Instead, what emerged were poignant reflections about missed moments with loved ones, the baseball games not attended, the dance recitals missed for important work meetings, the family dinners sacrificed for overtime pay. These revelations aren't just anecdotal. Research consistently shows that experiential purchases, especially those shared with people we love, create more enduring happiness than material acquisitions. This isn't about rejecting possessions entirely. It's about understanding their proper place in our hierarchy of needs. Think about your own childhood memories. Do you primarily remember the toys you owned, or do you recall the camping trips where your dad taught you to fish? The kitchen moments where your grandmother passed down family recipes? The journey of learning to ride a bike with someone running alongside you? What we're uncovering here is a fundamental shift in perspective. Material things decay, become obsolete, or simply fade into the background of our consciousness. But meaningful experiences, especially those shared with family, become woven into the very fabric of our identity. They transform us. I've witnessed this transformation in my own life. When I consciously began prioritizing regular family game nights over working late, weekend hiking adventures over hunting for sales, and being fully present at the dinner table instead of scrolling through my phone, the quality of my relationships deepened immeasurably. This isn't about grand gestures either. The beauty lies in the cumulative power of small moments, reading bedtime stories without rushing, listening without distractions when your partner shares their day, or simply sitting together watching the sunset. These seemingly ordinary experiences create the extraordinary tapestry of a well-lived life. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how we can practically implement this wisdom in our daily choices. There's a hidden dimension to happiness that emerges when we align our time investments with our true values, and it has remarkable effects not just on our joy, but on our legacy. If you're resonating with what I'm sharing so far, type presence over presence in the comments below. Peeling back the layers of minimalism reveals something much deeper than just an aesthetic choice. It's actually a powerful psychological transformation that most of the decorating magazines don't talk about. When I first started eliminating excess from my spaces, I noticed something unexpected happening to my thought patterns. The mental clarity that emerges when you're not constantly processing visual clutter is genuinely liberating. It's like your brain suddenly has more bandwidth for creativity and meaningful thoughts. This mental shift extends far beyond your living room. Many reformed maximalists report making better decisions in their careers and relationships once they've embraced minimalist principles at home. There's something about creating intentional spaces that teaches us to be more intentional with our time, energy, and commitments. It's as if the physical decluttering unlocks a hidden ability to prioritize what truly matters in every aspect of life. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the practical side of making this transition. The journey toward minimalism doesn't have to be a solo endeavor with endless Pinterest searches and failed DIY attempts. This is where platforms like Fiverr become invaluable allies in your transformation. What many people don't realize is that professional design assistance is no longer exclusive to those with hefty budgets. The revelation that changed everything for me was discovering that talented freelancers can provide customized design plans that honor your specific needs while incorporating minimalist principles. These designers bring fresh perspectives that help you see possibilities in your space that you might never have imagined on your own. They can identify which elements are creating visual noise and which are adding true value to your environment. What's particularly powerful about working with freelancers is the collaborative nature of the process. Unlike some traditional interior designers who might impose their signature style, many Fiverr professionals approach projects with genuine curiosity about your lifestyle, preferences, and the feeling you want your space to evoke. This personalized approach ensures that your minimalist home actually reflects your authentic self rather than following rigid design rules. The impact of this collaboration extends far beyond aesthetics. A thoughtfully designed minimalist space becomes a sanctuary that supports your well-being, productivity, and relationships. Many clients report feeling a profound sense of alignment when their external environment finally matches their internal values. There's something deeply affirming about walking into a room that embodies exactly who you are and what matters. Most to you. If you're nodding along as you listen to this, drop in the comments. Ready for my minimalist evolution? I'd love to know how many of you are feeling called to make this shift in your living spaces, and by extension, your lives. Minimalism demands thoughtful consideration on every purchase, which transforms your relationship with consumption at its core. When you embrace this mindset shift, you begin to evaluate each potential addition to your life through a different lens. Not, can I afford this? But rather, will this truly enhance my experience? This critical evaluation becomes second nature over time. I found myself standing in stores holding items, asking deeper questions about their purpose and longevity. Would this object still matter to me in a year? 5 years? Does it align with my values? Or am I simply responding to clever marketing? These moments of reflection create powerful pauses between desire and action that traditional consumers rarely experience. The minimalist journey brings awareness of previously unnoticed wasteful practices that had been hiding in plain sight. I was shocked to discover how many duplicate items lurked in my kitchen drawers. 3 spatulas, multiple sets of measuring cups, and gadgets I'd used perhaps once before relegating them to the back of cabinets. The revelation wasn't just about physical clutter, but about the hidden impact of my unexamined purchasing decisions. This awareness extends beyond your home. You'll notice the excess in workplace supply closets, the unused gifts that circulate during holidays, and the items friends proudly display but never actually use. It's like developing a sixth sense for identifying the gap between what we think we need and what genuinely serves us. The beauty in this evolution of consciousness is how it gradually illuminates other areas of your life deserving similar scrutiny. Your calendar, digital consumption, and even relationships may benefit from this intentional approach. Many discover that the principles of minimalism, keeping only what adds value, apply universally to create more meaningful experiences across all domains. What's particularly fascinating is how minimalism reveals our emotional attachments to material possessions. Objects often carry symbolic weight far heavier than their physical presence. That unworn clothing might represent an aspirational version of yourself. Those inherited items might symbolize connection to family regardless of their practical utility. Recognizing these attachments becomes a profound journey of self-discovery. The most unexpected outcome for many is how minimalism cultivates profound gratitude. When you're surrounded only by items you genuinely value, each possession receives proper appreciation. The sweater that perfectly fits both your body and aesthetic becomes a source of daily joy, rather than just another option in an overstuffed closet. Your favorite mug isn't lost among dozens. It's a reliable, morning companion. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how minimalism impacts our environmental footprint and what practical steps can make this transition smoother. As we continue this exploration, I'm curious about your experience. Drop mindful choices in the comments if you've ever experienced that moment of pause before a purchase and realized you didn't actually need the item. One of the most powerful revelations on this minimalism journey is how simple choices compound into profound environmental impact. When we say no to purchasing that unnecessary gadget, piece of decor, or trendy item, we're not just saving money or decluttering our spaces. We're creating a ripple effect that extends far beyond our homes. Think about the resources required for each item we bring into our lives. There's raw material extraction, manufacturing emissions, packaging waste, shipping fuel, and eventually, disposal considerations. By simply declining to participate in this cycle for non-essential items, we become quiet environmental activists without even trying. This transformation in thinking represents a fundamental mindset shift. Instead of seeing minimalism as deprivation, we begin to recognize it as liberation. Freedom from the hidden burden of managing, maintaining, and eventually discarding all these possessions. I've noticed in my own life that the spaces I truly enjoy spending time in aren't the ones filled with the most things, but rather the ones filled with the most meaning. My favorite reading nook has just 3 elements: a comfortable chair, good lighting, and a small side table for my tea. The simplicity of this arrangement creates a sanctuary that actually enhances my experience rather than distracting from it. This intentional approach to our environments also reveals something fascinating about human psychology. When we carefully curate our surroundings to include only what serves a purpose or brings genuine joy, we create spaces that support our well-being rather than drain it. The mental clarity that comes from living in an uncluttered space is remarkably similar to the clarity that meditation provides. It's as if our external environment and internal state are intimately connected. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and explore how minimalism extends beyond just our physical possessions. It becomes a lens through which we can evaluate all aspects of our lives, from digital consumption to time. Commitments, from relationships to career choices. The principles remain the same: identifying what truly matters and gracefully releasing the rest. The journey toward meaningful simplicity isn't always straightforward. There are unexpected challenges and revelations along the way. Sometimes letting go requires confronting emotional attachments we didn't realize existed. Other times, we discover that what we thought we needed was actually weighing us down in ways we couldn't see until it was gone. If what I'm sharing resonates with your own experience or aspirations, type "less is more" in the comments below. I'd love to know how minimalism is showing up in your life. The beauty of simplicity lies not just in having fewer things, but in the mental clarity it creates. When we remove the excess, we make room for what truly matters. Think about those moments when you've cleaned out a closet or organized a chaotic desk. There's an immediate sense of peace that follows. This isn't coincidental. It's your mind responding to the elimination of visual noise. Our living spaces are more than just containers for our possessions. They're external manifestations of our internal states. A cluttered home often reflects a cluttered mind, while a thoughtfully arranged space suggests intentionality and purpose. When guests enter your home, they're not just seeing your furniture and decor. They're experiencing a physical representation of your values. The journey toward simplicity involves a fascinating psychological transformation. As we let go of items we once thought essential, we confront powerful questions about identity and purpose. Many people discover that their attachment to certain possessions stems from insecurity or societal expectations rather than genuine need or joy. Breaking these attachments can be remarkably liberating. Consider the hidden relationship between consumption and fulfillment. We're constantly bombarded with messages suggesting that happiness comes through acquisition. Yet research consistently shows that beyond meeting basic needs, material possessions contribute surprisingly little to lasting contentment. The hedonic treadmill, our tendency to quickly return to a baseline level of happiness, despite major positive or negative events, explains why the joy of new purchases fades so quickly. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how simplicity creates space for meaningful experiences rather than just object. Maintenance. When we're not spending weekends organizing excess belongings or working extra hours to pay for things we barely use, we reclaim precious time. This time becomes available for relationships, creativity, learning, and presence. the very elements that contribute most significantly to life satisfaction. The minimalist mindset reveals something profound about human nature: our tendency to conflate security with accumulation. We gather possessions as if preparing for scarcity, yet this behavior often creates precisely the sense of constraint we're trying to avoid. The irony is that in pursuing more, we often end up with less freedom, less time, and less mental bandwidth for what brings genuine joy. What's most revealing about this journey is how it ripples into every aspect of life. People who simplify their physical environments often report making clearer decisions in their careers, relationships, and personal goals. The skill of discernment, knowing what to keep and what to release, becomes a powerful tool for navigating life's complexities. If what I'm saying resonates with your experience, type "freedom through less" in the comments section. I'd love to know how many of you have felt that paradoxical expansion of possibilities when you've reduced physical clutter in your lives. Think about your most cherished memories for a moment. Are they about the expensive gadget you bought 5 years ago? Or that spontaneous road trip with friends where everything went hilariously wrong? For most of us, it's those shared experiences, the laughter, the challenges overcome together, the moments of pure wonder, that remain vivid in our minds while material possessions fade into the background of our consciousness. This emotional resonance is why experiences tend to deliver more lasting satisfaction than material goods. When we purchase a new item, we experience what psychologists call hedonic adaptation. The initial thrill quickly dissipates as we become accustomed to having that thing in our lives. But experiences, they become part of our identity. Stories we tell for years, fundamental pieces in the mosaic of who we are. The revelation many discover on their minimalist journey is that experiences don't have to drain your bank account. In fact, the mindset shift toward valuing experiences often leads to substantial financial transformation. By redirecting funds previously spent on accumulating possessions, you create space for more meaningful investments, whether that's traveling to places you've always dreamed of seeing, learning new skills, or simply having the freedom to work less and spend more time with loved ones. Consider the hidden truth behind many material purchases. We're often buying things to impress others or fill emotional voids that objects simply cannot satisfy. When we release ourselves from this cycle, we discover an unexpected abundance, not just financially, but in time, mental clarity, and authentic connections. The impact extends beyond personal benefits. Experiential consumption typically has a lower environmental footprint than material consumption. Instead of contributing to production chains that deplete resources, experiences often utilize existing infrastructure and create value through human connection and creativity. This alignment between personal fulfillment and planetary well-being creates a powerful synergy that feels deeply right to many who embrace this path. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by examining how this shift from material accumulation to experiential richness affects our happiness at the neurological level. Our brains process these two types of consumption quite differently, and understanding these mechanisms can help us make more conscious choices about where we direct our resources. If you've experienced this shift in your own life, write "freedom found" in the comments. I'm curious how many of you have discovered this transformation for yourselves. Living with less isn't just about having a tidier space. It's a profound transformation that ripples through every aspect of your life. When I first embraced minimalism, I didn't anticipate how it would alter my perception of time. Those Saturday mornings once spent organizing overflowing closets or hunting through drawers of miscellaneous items suddenly opened up. This newfound time became a canvas for experiences that genuinely enriched my life. Reading books I'd postponed, developing skills, or simply enjoying unrushed moments with loved ones. The journey toward minimalism reveals an unexpected revelation: the relationship between our possessions and our mental bandwidth. Each item in our home requires a small piece of our attention to clean, maintain, organize, or simply decide whether to keep it. When we reduce these demands, we reclaim mental space that can be directed toward more meaningful pursuits. It's like clearing background noise you didn't even realize was affecting your concentration. What's particularly powerful about this lifestyle shift is how it gradually changes your relationship with consumption. You begin to see through marketing tactics that once seemed irresistible. Those limited time offers and must-have seasonal items lose their urgency when you've trained yourself to question, will this truly add value to my life? This mindfulness extends beyond shopping. It becomes a lens through which you evaluate all potential additions to your life, whether physical items, commitments, or relationships. The hidden truth about minimalism is that it's actually about abundance. Not of things, but of freedom. Freedom from the constant pressure to upgrade, replace, and accumulate. Freedom from comparison and keeping up with trends that change faster than seasons. This liberation creates space for authentic self-discovery and alignment with what genuinely matters to you. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how minimalism intersects with our daily decisions and habits. When your environment contains only what serves you, your decisions become clearer and more intentional. The paradox is that by having fewer options, you actually expand your capacity to make choices aligned with your true priorities. This mindset shift extends far beyond organizing your physical space. It becomes a framework for approaching life's complexities with greater clarity. The impact of minimalism on relationships often goes unmentioned, but deserves attention. When you're no longer preoccupied with managing excess, you can be more present with others. Conversations deepen, connections strengthen, and you discover that meaningful relationships are perhaps the most valuable possession of all. If what I'm sharing resonates with your own experience or aspirations, write "Freedom Through Less" in the comments. I'd love to know how minimalism has touched your life, or if you're curious to explore this path. As we journey deeper into the lifestyle of minimalism, it's important to recognize the transformative power this approach has on our daily experiences. People often confuse minimalism with deprivation, but the reality reveals something far more liberating. When we strip away the unnecessary, we create space for what truly matters. And this is where the hidden wealth of experiences begins to flourish. I remember when I first embraced minimalist principles, the revelation wasn't just about having fewer things, it was about the mental clarity that emerged from the physical decluttering. This clarity becomes the foundation for intentional living, where every choice reflects your authentic values rather than societal pressures or momentary impulses. Think about your most cherished memories. Are they centered around possessions or experiences? For most of us, meaningful connections, adventures, moments of discovery, and personal growth define our life's highlight reel. The minimalist mindset nurtures these experiences by removing the distractions that often consume our time, energy, and resources. But there's a deeper dimension to this journey: the psychological freedom that comes when we break the chain between material ownership and personal identity. When we no longer need external validation through possessions, we discover an internal compass that guides us toward more fulfilling paths. This shift represents one of the most profound personal evolutions many people experience on their minimalist journey. The beauty of embracing experiences over possessions lies in their lasting impact. While material things depreciate and lose their allure, experiences appreciate in value as they become stories, lessons, and cherished memories that shape who we are. They create connection points with others, allowing us to share moments rather than just showing objects. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how minimalism intersects with other areas of personal development. It's not just about what we own. It's about how we think, where we direct our energy, and ultimately, the legacy we create through our choices. The minimalist approach becomes a lens through which we can evaluate everything from our careers to our relationships. The ripple effect of these decisions extends far beyond our personal spaces. As we become more intentional about our consumption, we naturally reduce our environmental footprint. As we prioritize experiences, we often strengthen community bonds. As we embrace quality over quantity, we support more sustainable production practices. If any of these principles have started resonating with you and you're seeing how minimalism might be more than just a trendy aesthetic, but actually a pathway to greater fulfillment, write "mindful shift" in the comments below. The journey we've taken together through minimalism isn't just about decluttering your home. It's about enriching your entire life through intentional choices. I hope you've started to see how this mindset creates space for experiences that truly matter to you personally. If this perspective has sparked something within you today, I'd love to know you made it to the end of our conversation. Just write "mindful shift" in the comments to let me know these ideas connected with you. Consider subscribing if you want to continue exploring these life-enhancing principles together. There's so much more to discover about living with purpose and clarity. And if you found value in today's exploration, a like helps others find this message too. I've actually created a companion video that dives into practical first steps for this journey. Click the link that appears now to continue this conversation about transforming your relationship with possessions and experiences.